Good afternoon. I am Vanessa Thomas with the 12 o'clock news on the street 919 FM and online Facebook and YouTube. In the headlines, state of emergency comes to an end on August 29th. Any extension, it's up to the Prime Minister, says the Attorney General. COVID deaths reach 1,200 in TNT. Adverse weather alert discontinued, and internationally, the IMF suspends Afghanistan's access to funds. And now the news in detail. Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi says the 3-month state of emergency and curfew to restrict the spread of COVID-19 will expire at midnight on August 29th. Al-Rawi says any extension of the SOE will be addressed by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, who heads the cabinet. He said any extension of the SOE will come via a resolution of the House of Representatives by simple majority for a period of no more than 3 months pursuant to Section 10 of the Constitution. The curfew measure restricts movement between the hours of 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. The number of people who have died from COVID-19 is now 1,200. The number was reached with 4 additional deaths yesterday. The Ministry of Health also announced a further 194 people were infected with the virus. The number of active cases now stands at 5,901. A total of 461,528 people have received first doses, of which 339,267 have gone on to receive their second dose. Cement importer Rock Hard Distributor Limited will be temporarily closing its doors on Friday due to the import duties and implemented restrictions in the domestic market for cement. Ryan Ramhit, Managing Director of Rock Hard Distributors, confirmed that tomorrow will be the last day the company will be selling cement to the local market as a result of increased duties and the quota that the government implemented on the importation of cement. Ramhit says this move made it virtually impossible for Rock Hard Cement to do business, to import and sell its cement at a competitive price. With this temporary closure, 68 workers had to be placed on the breadline, along with 112 indirect workers who offload the shipments of cement weekly. The Trinidad and Tobago Met Service has discontinued the adverse weather alert for Trinidad. However, the Riverine flood alert orange level remains. The Riverine alert will end 6 p.m. today. The Met Office says the river levels are critical along the Caroni River, with lower banks at spilling level. There continue to be reports of smaller watercourses being filled with flooding in low-lying areas. Other major rivers are contained at this time and are being closely monitored. International news now. The International Monetary Fund has said Afghanistan will no longer be able to access the lender's resources. The move follows the Taliban's takeover of the country last weekend. An IMF spokesperson said it was due to lack of clarity within the international community over recognizing a government in Afghanistan. Resources of over $370 million from the IMF had been set to arrive on the 23rd of August. These funds were part of a global IMF response to the economic crisis. Meanwhile, in a letter to the U.S. Treasury Secretary, Congress members called for assurances that the Taliban would receive no U.S.-backed aid. And that was the 12 o'clock news on the street 919 FM and online Facebook and YouTube, recapping the headlines. State of emergency comes to an end on August 29th. Any extension, it's up to the Prime Minister, says the Attorney General. COVID deaths reached 1,200 in TNT. Adverse weather alert discontinued, and internationally, the IMF suspends Afghanistan's access to funds. Do enjoy your afternoon and look out for the 5 minutes playway segment at 12:15. I am Vanessa Thomas. Good afternoon.